Nothing in women's hockey has ever been guaranteed. Every year, every season, and every day is a fight for growth and survival. Even as recent as 30 years ago, women's hockey barely existed. Meaning even the best to ever do it had no place in the game growing up. Current Hall of Famers have questioned their place in hockey. So what does that mean for the current generation of players? In the next generation? Options and establishments in women's hockey have historically never lasted. It is a constant battle of relevancy. Today we are at one of the brightest spots in women's hockey. Players have more choices and more opportunities than they ever have, but it's still not enough. PWHPA, PHF, NCAA, U Sports. Every year we are seeing so much growth, and not only the talent, but the infrastructure and interest as well. Despite that, there's still so much uncertainty. While everyone in the game is committed to growing women's hockey, the horizon is still cloudy, and there's still so much to understand. Where is women's hockey right now? What does the future hold? How did we get here, and what even is here? Is the current landscape holding women's hockey back, or are we on the cusp of something big? This is the most pivotal time in the history of the sport, but first we must understand how we got here, and when did this new era of women's hockey begin?
Just 1 week after the championship game and the most successful Clarkson Cup weekend ever, the Canadian Women's Hockey League has folded. The CWHL making the shocking announcement Sunday morning that it is ceasing operations effective May 1st.
First of all, I have to say that in my career, that was the most difficult decision that we had to make as a board, number one. Number two, that was the most difficult thing that I ever had to announce.
I don't think we will ever know the answers, the real answers, unfortunately. But I think it's a misnomer to say that it was a financial issue or it was the way that it was set up.
Well, there was a lot of factors that were involved into why women's CWHL in particular went the direction that it did. But even though there was some excitement for attending the women's hockey game, we still needed some attendance. We needed viewership numbers to be up, and we needed attendance to be up.
The owners felt like they were losing money, and there's have and have not teams. But then there's other teams that didn't have the money. So our teams would draw these players it'd be a stepping stone to the national team. And so because of that, the owners on the other teams said, we just can't continue to put this money into it without sort of fair and equitable game schedules and teams.
There was a time also, again, with the growth that we started to feel as though we wanted to be able to pay the women because women were not being paid to play professional hockey.
And to me, the reason that it failed is not because of the business, not because of the teams or the players.
I think it was just the unknown. We didn't know, obviously being a rookie that season, you're unsure of what the next opportunity is going to be. Obviously, at that time I was only 22 years old and I obviously wanted to continue to play. So I think there was the unknown factor, which was scary, but then the hope for an opportunity that was going to be something that we could, instead of having to work, we could pursue.
And I think behind closed doors, we got to play. We had jerseys, we had rinks, but we had no idea what was really going on behind the scenes. And I think it was a big eye-opener for us that we're not quite where we need it to be, and there's a lot more room for growth.
Being informed as an athlete is huge. You never want to feel like you're in the dark, and I think with the CWHL, we didn't know. We had a phone call and we were canceled the next day.
Something structurally needed to occur. There were always conversations with the then NWHL about what would it look like should we decide to merge. What we were trying to do was find a spot for women's hockey to thrive.
That was really hard for me because I had helped build it and I had helped create it. And so when it happened, I think I had this ultimate belief that there was something coming. There must be something coming.
But what about the people and the athletes that were displaced? The ones who just wanted to play the game they love? What did the CWHL and its closure mean to the athletes? And what was it like living in no man's land?
I knew I still wanted to play. I wanted to still chase that goal. I wanted to still chase that dream of winning a gold medal at the Olympics. And so the best way I could do that was to play professionally.
Each game you're playing against national players. You play against Poulin, you play against Brianne Jenner with Calgary. So I think each game it was crazy because you're playing against multiple Olympic medalists.
So even in the CWHL, there was a little bit more, I felt it's like, hey, a little bit more laid back. I was a younger player on the team, so it's like, hey, you know, however I can contribute as that role player, I'm going to do that. As I evolve my play and as even the league evolves, it's just like, hey, you know what? Could actually be a very good, viable product.
The CWHL was amazing. I was really, really lucky to be able to play in that league. But unfortunately, it still wasn't near as professional as we're pushing for today, in the sense of I still had to have a side job because I hadn't quite made that national team yet. So when I first graduated, I knew that I had to somehow pay my rent, pay my phone bill, pay for my car, while making not a lot of money through the CWHL. If not, I think actually my first year, I don't even think I made anything.
The Canadian Women's Hockey League allowed women to play for a championship as professional athletes. Out of the rubble and the chaos, new opportunities emerged. Hockey would not be taken away from the players or the fans. It didn't take long for new systems to be established. That's when the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association was born.
So I think it really hit us pretty good, and it was at those World Championships so that the US and us Canadians and actually a bunch of other European kind of players came together and said, like, let's just unite here.
Right then, all the girls that were on the national team with me were speaking about, you know, we need to create something that will grow the game. We can't just be happy settling at, you know, leagues that may not pay us as much as we deserve or give us the resources that we deserve. So right from that moment, you know, speaking with all my teammates about it, we kind of started to create the PWHPA from the second that the CWHL folded.
Let's create this union that comes together and pushes for more, pushes for something that's going to last forever, something that is going to be sustainable and viable.
The PWHPA began the Dream Camp Tour, a series of showcase events funded by sponsors. The objective of the PWHPA is to create sustainability and give athletes a platform, but not through traditional league play. When other athletes want to play for more, the Premier Hockey Federation offers them an opportunity for that traditional league play. When players crave more structure and more competitive hockey, this is their alternative. The PHF has seen impressive growth in the last few years, and it is becoming a staple in women's hockey.
I did play 1 year with the PWHPA. I did enjoy my time. I can't say I was like this was a time that I didn't want to, but I think the thing that changed with me is just because I wanted to play more games. And I also joined a senior A team, which really brought my core love back to the game. So when the Toronto Six sort of came about, so A, just chasing with that championship, but also B, as like even that last season that I had with the PWHPA, I was sort of, yes, you know what, like I was with them, I was for the game, like for promoting women's hockey, but I was just there. I was just there. I didn't really have a voice, or I didn't really have that presence, which I know I could.
Once you were finished playing college hockey or your minor hockey, the national team was the only team that you could play on to continue playing in your early 20s. Now there's more opportunities. So we have the PHF League, and so there's 7 teams now. So there's more teams and more availability for girls to continue to play at a high level.
All parties want the same thing, to grow the game. Although there's mutual love between the two, some don't see eye to eye, while others don't mind the two-side system.
The PWHPA is running Dream Gap tours. The PHF is running a league, and for the PWHPA players to going on 3 years now not to be competing in a league, the earn isn't there, and I don't even know how those players are getting better.
By having 2 leagues is giving more women the opportunity to play the game at a professional level, but I think down the road and where we need to get is 1 league.
I think 100% there's room for both leagues to thrive. And you hear a lot of that conversation, you know, oh, there's two leagues, there's the PHF, PWHPA, how can both coexist?
The ability to pay women hockey players right now is phenomenal. We are doing that. We are the only ones doing that in the league because we are the only league. So if people really are interested in growing women's hockey, then I think that they need to have a compromise, both sides, not just one, and let's get things done.
Ultimately, I think obviously we're both fighting for something bigger and better, because at the end of the day, this isn't necessarily gonna maybe have the most impact on us, but it is gonna have a big impact on all the little girls that follow.
We just want the best. We want the best for women's hockey, and that's what we're here for, to grow the game. If that is establishing one league or still having two leagues, we want to be role models for our minor hockey and girls around not only Canada but North America. But yeah, I'm here to play, and I'm excited to play as an athlete and the opportunity I'm given this season.
All of these players, wherever you play, whether it's in the PW or it's in the PHF or it's overseas, everybody just wants to have an amazing experience in hockey. All we can do is create the best environment for players. It is no longer about us versus them. It's about how can we create this amazing experience.
One thing is for certain, there is a fight, and it's clearly not against each other, but it is a fight to strive for something greater, to make sure every young girl has a place in the game, and to never question where they belong in hockey and in the sports world. And although it's far from equal, young girls have options and are getting opportunities their predecessors didn't.
You have to love it, and you have to give back. So it's what we did for you, we need you to do for the younger generation. Promote the league, promote the team, and you know, tell these girls there is a place for you down the road. You can play professional hockey.
Veterans of the game had to fight their way to the top and find a place on a team when there weren't any. But now young female players are seeing their options open up. Many bright stars are on their own journeys now, and they have those veterans to thank. Taya Curry and Rachel Seeley are part of the next generation of women's hockey and becoming role models for many.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty cool, and I hope girls look up to me and I can be a role model for them. I mean, they can strive to do anything they put their minds to, and just working hard at practice every day and behind the scenes when no one's watching is the biggest thing, and I think anyone can do it. Yeah, I definitely decided like I wanted to go the university route and further my education rather than staying in the OHL. I just didn't think I wanted to stay with the boys all the time. I was ready to move on with the girls for eventually can get ready for like the national team if I'm ever at that level.
Kind of had like a weird upbringing in hockey. Like I wasn't like that star-studded kid coming out of like junior hockey. So like I was just happy to be playing university hockey and like being there and like in that environment. So like being able to do that, obviously it's a huge privilege, but like I was just like happy to be at the rink every day and like be a part of that and like be a part of something like bigger than myself at the university. So it was a huge honor. I'm forever grateful for them. Toronto 6 has kind of been like my end goal for a while. Like it feels like a real professional team, and that's kind of what you get when you come here. So like I did like that kind of idea. It does give me the flexibility to also like continue my job.
Barriers need to be broken in order to make way for bigger and better things. Women's hockey would not be where it is today if not for the individuals who have spoken up and started the movement for change. We need to keep pushing for the sport and the players.
I think the next steps for women's hockey from here are limitless. And I think that's what's amazing about being in the game is we can really take it in any direction we want. I think the next steps are to play in bigger venues, play in front of more fans, have more TV coverage, and for everybody to know where and when we play each and every weekend, and that the games are sold out and people are lined up at the doors trying to get in. That to me is the ultimate goal for what I want to accomplish for this Toronto 6 franchise.
There needs to be support, there needs to be visibility. Like I feel like every night like I turn on the TV and like I watch the NHL. The women's game is really up and coming and it is exciting, but like people just don't see that.
Regardless of any league, one thing is for certain. Women's hockey is growing. Players, leagues, and teams show us that there is an aspiration, willingness, and place for women to play and have it become the game it deserves to be.
Hockey is at such a crossroads in this country right now that I think that knowing that we are in existence as a women's professional team is really special. And I think that young girls should look up to these women on the ice. But I think also understanding that it isn't just about this, that hockey is bigger than just a national team or a professional women's team.
And I think players like myself and Angela James and Sammy Joe, who are involved with the Toronto Six, know how hard it was to get the game to where it is today, know how hard it will be to get it to the next level. But we want to do it because we love it. And we want to do it for this generation, but more importantly, the next generation of young girls.
As well as, I really think that as we turn over a new era of athletes, that you'll see everybody come together. For me, I just wanted to be, a part of something pretty special. But the bottom line is that if we want to grow our game, we're going to have to grow it together.
I never thought, first of all, I'd ever go to an Olympics. And now I'm coaching professionally as well. So it's exciting. It's a new time. It's a new era. Now we're getting television coverage, and I think that's going to be huge. And it's going to get out there more. And we just need to be seen. And I think once they see the product, people are going to love it.